Well, talking about the Toyota team, as we were, they should have been the 12th team on the grid here, but they're not because Prost aren't here, having been declared bankrupt at the end of January. But the corpse is twitching. There could be a Prost on the grid in Malaysia in a couple of weeks' time. It'll be a controversial comeback.
The French team had been in financial trouble for most of the year, and they went into receivership in November. A buyer was sought to take on the debts and to secure the jobs of some 220 factory employees who gathered outside the courts where Prost's fate was eventually decided.
I'm obviously disappointed, but you know, I fight as much as I could, and I've done everything I could. But you know, when it's coming about money problem and so much money, it's something you can't do.
It was very, very sad for everybody, and even like the supporters club, people from the supporters club all rallied round outside the factory, and you know, there was tears and everything else, and it's kind of unbelievable really that it could get in that situation.
Alain Prost himself could have saved the team. Offers were made by ex-F1 driver Pedro Diniz as well as other would-be team owners, but he turned them down and the costs spiraled.
The reason why we did not find anything is because the market for a team like us is almost impossible, because we have to pay for the engine, and we ask to the sponsors quite a lot of money, more or less the same money that big teams could ask, because we are paying the engine, so the budget must be high.
We tried to keep everybody together and encourage people to keep pushing on as hard as we possibly could, and we went as far as trying to make the new car with all the resources that was available to us. We got as far as building the chassis. It was just ready for machining, and you know, things was hopeful. We never wanted to give up hope, but like I said, we all tried to the last day.
But here in Melbourne it looks like there's one more twist in the tale. Prost's assets, but not their debts, have been bought by a group of unnamed investors. They're getting help from Arrows boss Tom Walkinshaw, but the two teams must remain independent. The deal has angered Minardi, and not just because they will lose out if Prost stay in.
Arrows is not involved in it in any way whatsoever, so we've got enough to do focusing on our own team and our own cars and trying to do a good job with that. So my engineering company has been contracted by the people to go and give them engineering support for the massive task of getting the thing up and running in the shortest period of time.
But whatever happens, they won't be attending the first race here in Australia. Which race would they come to?
I think they're going to try for the next one in Malaysia, but for sure they'll be in Brazil, but you know, it just depends on how they get the work done. But you know, I think with someone buying the remnants of it and protecting the fact that then there's 12 teams, you know, it does underpin the value of all the rest of our teams in here, so you know, I think it's a good thing.
I would go to the nth degree to make sure it didn't happen. I don't believe in law that it can happen, I don't believe in morality that it should happen, and I don't believe as a staunch supporter of Formula 1 and everything it stands for that it would be good for the sport for it to happen. So absolutely not. People playing games like this ought to just go away, because you know, it's sad enough that Prost have died. You don't need anybody trying to revive it, not in a way like this.
There are a couple of team owners in this pit lane who aren't particularly happy about this development.
Well, the one next door who bid for it as well and didn't get it probably isn't very happy. Yeah, I can understand that.
One next door, Paul Stoddart, very angry and upset about it, saying, by the way, it's going to all end up in the courts. But Tony, just give us, if you could, an overview of the situation as you see it.
Well, what Paul Stoddart is saying effectively, that he believes a valuation has been given away on a team for relatively nothing. Bids went in for between 30 and 60 million, Paul Stoddart said, and he believes it went for something like about 3 million. So he said that devalues the pit lane by about 300 million, he says, and it shouldn't happen in Formula 1. And as you said, he's going to go to court, but what do you say?
Good. Okay, we'll wait and see. We've got another view on it now, actually, from David Richards, the team principal at British American Racing, who's welcome back to F1. Dave, first of all, nice to see you here.
Hello, Jim.
Yeah, what's your view of this little scrap going on with one or two of your rivals down the pit lane there?
It's a bit of a subplot in the main game out here. I think the real activity's on the track, and we'll let them fight away and behind the scenes and let them get on with it.
Okay.